us crushed!
Who's sending those things?
We're not going to like this.
No, I guarantee you I'm not.
My creator.
Great.
There's an army coming that cannot be beaten.
We have something he needs.
Is there a chance?
No, we are screwed.
Let's finish this, buddy.
Oh yeah!
Grab some snacks
Hard pass!
and get ready for the wildest ride yet.
Now that's horsepower!
I'm giving you a chance, sweetie.
Let's go! We've come a long way, you and me. But now my home is Antibus.
This world can't survive if you stay together.
Thought we were gonna be the lethal protector.
That's what this is.
Let's finish this.
Venom: The Last Dance.
This is ground control to men.
How do you even know this song?
You really
Shoot.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There's a brand new Venom: The Last Dance trailer, so we'll break it all down. We also found out who's playing the Knull character, their plans for Knull in the future of the Sony movies and the MCU movies, and what's going on with Spider-Man 4, all the Tom Holland crossover of it all in the next couple of movies as well, too. Because it sounds like they have big plans for the symbiote with Tom Holland Spider-Man in the future. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. The movie is coming out in a couple weeks, so I'll give away movie tickets when we get a little bit closer too. We'll probably get a little bit more footage and learn a little bit more about what Sony is doing behind the scenes. But we do actually know what they're doing since they canceled a lot of their spin-off movies, like all the Madam Web, the Morbius stuff, and what they're pivoting to in the next several years. You do not need a spoiler warning to know that it has a lot more to do with the Spider-Man of it all.
Stop it.
You could just see Sony behind the scenes with the meeting of their minds saying, how do we make money on all these Spider-Man characters we own? Why don't we do more movies based on a Spider-Man? But which Spider-Man is it going to be? The early teaser for that is that it has something to do with a franchise that actually is making them money right now that involves a Spider-Man, but not the Peter Parker Spider-Man. But there's a bunch of new footage, so we'll break it all down. We get some more context for a couple of scenes that we saw in earlier trailers that were confusing people just because of the way the Venom symbiote was kind of unintelligible with its voiceover in those previous trailers. There was a scene in one of the first trailers where people thought the symbiote was actually saying, "We are Groot," which just completely threw everyone for a loop. Like, why are they talking about Guardians of the Galaxy inside the Venom movies? Now we get a much clearer version of that voiceover. They just polished the trailer, I'm assuming, or they polished his voiceover dialogue, so it's easier to actually understand what he's saying. And it's a scene of Eddie talking to the symbiote in the middle of a fight with a couple different xenophage teaming up on it, asking it if there's a chance, like there's a chance that they survive this fight that they're in. And instead of the "We are Groot" that confused people before, it's actually saying "We are screwed." More in line with the whole concept that this is The Last Dance, Tom Hardy himself posted one of the recent promos, and on it his caption basically was saying goodbye to the Venom character. This is what his statement reads: "Thank you for a great time in 7 years. I've had the best experience at Sony working with Venom. This is me and the big guy talking about the Venom symbiote. Last outing, going out with a bang. Come see us off. Last in the trilogy and done. Heart emoji. We've had such a great time. Thank you." Throughout all the different trailers, you see them talking about this being the last dance, like they might die during this fight with the xenophage, with Knull. Knull might wind up killing them at some point. Here's the thing about that. Obviously, there's a big twist. Obviously, they're trying to mislead you so you think that it's the last movie just to get people hyped up to see this as the last actual movie in the Venom trilogy. But that's the reality of it, is that it's only the last movie in the Venom trilogy, not the last time you actually see anybody with the Venom symbiote. Tom Hardy is basically explaining that he signed a deal to do a trilogy of Venom movies at Sony. Now the trilogy is over. His deal is done. But this isn't the last time that you will ever see Tom Hardy involved with Spider-Man related movies or with Venom related movies, or the last time you see the Venom symbiote. Primarily because they're pivoting towards more Spider-Man symbiote of it all with the big Knull crossover. Like, he's meant to be their big Thanos level upgrade villain in the Venomverse, like in the Sony movies, that will help cross things over with the MCU Spider-Man movies. There are a lot of people that were wondering if Spider-Man 4 is going to be turned into like the King in Black storyline. I don't know if they're going to go that hard into King in Black, but I do think that the Knull crossover movie that they're building up towards a lot of these Spider-Man characters will be based somewhat on the King in Black storyline. So the early theory is that what we'll see eventually is they'll make us believe that Eddie dies at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage. He might not die, but they'll make us believe that he's dead. Tom Holland will eventually get the symbiote at some point, probably during Spider-Man 4. They've been teasing a multiverse storyline with the Venom character in this last movie too, explaining how that's possible that the symbiote could wind up making its way back to the MCU. You also remember that there's a piece of the symbiote that was left in the MCU at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. In early theory, it's also possible that when Tom Holland's Spider-Man gets his Spider-Man symbiote, the voice in his head is Tom Hardy doing the voice, and that's how Tom Hardy comes back. So it's not him running around in the Venom symbiote like him co-starring with Tom Holland physically on screen. It's just his voiceover with Tom Holland wearing the symbiote. So you have Tom Holland wearing the symbiote through multiple future Spider-Man movies, Avengers 5, Avengers Secret Wars, with Tom Hardy doing the Venom symbiote voice in his ear, the same way you hear doing the voice in all these Venom trailers.
Eddie, I need more money.
And with it, they just bring that comedic tone that they have with the symbiote in all these movies too. Like the tone of the Venom movies is very comedic. But for those of you asking who is actually playing the Knull character and what is it that Venom has that he wants so badly during this last movie, supposedly it's actually going to be Andy Serkis himself playing Knull, not Norman Reedus or any other character. There's been a lot of fan castings, a lot of fan art out there the last couple months. We've started to get trailers. But I do think the idea that Andy Serkis is playing the character sounds way more realistic because he directed the Venom Let There Be Carnage movie. One of the biggest reasons why he's not directing the third movie, because the second movie did make a lot of money for Sony, way more money than its other Spider-Man spin-off movies have made. You'd think they want to bring him back to direct the third movie, but it's likely because they want him to play Knull, and there's just too much work to actually be Knull and be a really big character in multiple upcoming movies and do a good job of directing this third movie. Also, Warner Brothers is bringing Andy Serkis back to direct the new Lord of the Rings Gollum movie that it's doing. It's actually making multiple Gollum movies. So there's just way too much that Andy Serkis is doing right now to actually direct a movie. So it just makes more sense that they're using him in a more actorly kind of role, and he's just helping them advise with all the motion capture that they do, because he's actually brought on to a lot of other movies to advise on motion capture performance. For example, Mark Ruffalo has done more motion capture work inside the MCU than any other MCU actor, with the exception of Andy Serkis, who, if you look at all the movies that he's done, has done way more motion capture in all movies. But most of his motion capture work was in other non-MCU movies. He's gotten so good at that the last 25 plus years, other movies that have nothing to do with comic books or genre or anything like that will bring him on to advise on their motion capture performances, just to help actors who don't have experience doing motion capture like that. So it sounds like they're just bringing in the master to play their Knull character, which will probably be a lot of motion capture, as you would expect. My guess is we might get a teaser for his face reveal in the last big promo, but it's also possible that Sony just holds that back for the actual movie itself, so it is a bit of a surprise. And because so much of the newer trailer footage focuses on Eddie talking to the Venom symbiote about what it is that they have that Knull wants, it's apparently not going to be the all-black, the primal symbiote, the Necro Sword. Supposedly when the movie begins, Knull already has the all-black. If you're not familiar with the Knull comics, the All Black is basically the first symbiote. It's a piece of himself that he created to kill a bunch of Celestials. For instance, the Deadhead of Nowhere that you see in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie is a Celestial that he beheaded. This also gets into a lot of Marvel lore in the King in Black storyline, in Knull's overarching mission, what it is that he wants so badly. What it seems like they're doing with him during Venom the Last Dance is that he's on his quest to conquer the multiverse, all of reality, using his position as King in Black, but needs what's probably ... the Codex from the Venom symbiote. And that's going to allow him to become the king of the black spaces between universes. The actual title King in Black refers to the ruler of the space between universes. If you haven't read the King in Black storyline, or you're not familiar with the Knull comics inside the larger Venom comics, the whole idea is that Knull was selected by the Celestials to become the next King in Black, but he rebelled against them and tried to use his position to basically take over the entire multiverse. So the idea is that Knull has to stop him with the help of a bunch of other Marvel characters. Now, in the comics, King in Black is a big crossover storyline involving a lot of non-Spider-Man characters, like the Avengers characters, everybody else in the Marvel universe. They'd obviously have to tune that a little bit differently for the live action movies, and it sounds like it'll be more of just like a Spider-Man type of larger crossover with Tom Holland's Spider-Man and other Spider-Man related characters. But there's been reports that the plan going forward is that Tom Holland will have the symbiote for multiple movies. It won't be a one and done Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 kind of situation where like he gets it during the movie, but then he also gets rid of it by the end of the same movie. So it sounds like he gets the symbiote during Spider-Man 4 at some point, then has it through Avengers 5, Secret Wars, and maybe like another Spider-Man movie after that, and then loses it during the end of that second Spider-Man solo movie, which would be like Spider-Man 5 or something like that. Remains to be seen how quippy they're going to make Tom Hardy's voice as the Venom symbiote in Spider-Man's head when he has the symbiote. For example, there's a joke at the end of the Venom trailer here where you hear the symbiote singing the lyrics to David Bowie's Space Odyssey song inside Eddie's head along with Reese Ifans and the boy while he's playing, and Eddie is just replying saying, "Shoot me now," and also wondering how the symbiote even knows the lyrics to Space Odyssey. Like, how do you know the song if we've never actually heard the song while he's been bonded to the symbiote? My assumption is that he heard the song playing on the radio when he was bonded to some other character or something like that. Just because we have seen the symbiote bond with other characters besides Eddie during the previous Venom movies. For those of you asking about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, there's always going to be questions about them because Andrew Garfield just released a new movie with Florence Pugh, and he's been asked all kinds of Spider-Man questions like, will you come back and play your version of the Amazing Spider-Man, the Amazing Peter #3? And he's just been posting funny videos talking about his stories of coming back as Spider-Man during No Way Home, and more recently, just saying that he would come back for even more Spider-Man if the story is right, like he'd be happy to come back. The way that everybody's talking now behind the scenes, I don't expect to see him or Tobey in Spider-Man 4, but it's a never say never kind of situation, so like just don't hold your breath on yes or no right now. But it does seem like with each passing day, Spider-Man 4 is getting less and less of a friendly neighborhood ground-level Spider-Man movie and more of a big multiverse movie. So like that or hate it, we'll see how that turns out. It just sounds like Sony is trying to do everything it can to make it even bigger than, say, like Avengers Infinity War and Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, make it a big Avengers-level multiverse movie again. But because they are ramping up for production pretty soon, of course we'll be getting more news about that. So I'll do more Spider-Man videos as we hear more about what's happening with the future of those characters. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. They just released Deadpool and Wolverine on home video too. I did a full breakdown of all the bonus features, like all the extra deleted scenes, all the Easter eggs that they revealed during the commentary for the movie. Click here for that because there's a ton of stuff that got cut from the movie. And click here to learn about a bunch of the upcoming movies and TV shows that Marvel just canceled. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.